and gentlemen, welcome to the podcast, the Drafted Up Podcast. You know where to find the show because you're watching or listening Apple, Spotify, YouTube. While you're there, like, rate, subscribe, review, all that good stuff. It goes a long way in helping the show grow, and that's the goal here, to grow the Drafted Up community. That's Nick. I'm Theo. This is the Drafted Up Podcast. Nick, how you doing today?
Doing good, man. Doing good. It's no longer single digit temperatures here in PA, so a 32-degree day feels like a nice heat day. So it feels nice outside. I'm actually in shorts, which is funny. I'm doing good, man. Super Bowl was the Super Bowl. We'll get to that, but I'm ready for the off season, dude. I'm ready to really dive into the draft class as we're getting in 2026. Great receiver class, not a great quarterback class, but a lot of weird, good position guys. So like linebackers, safeties, a couple good tight ends. I'm ready to dive into that draft class, man.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. So we're going to touch base on the Super Bowl here. We'll go over that. And then we're going to kind of shift gears, kind of do some off-season stuff. We're going to go through all 32 teams, talk about who the starting quarterback is going to be. The majority of these teams are obviously set with their quarterback, so we're really going to pinpoint on who we think the teams that are sort of question marks. We're going to bank those teams, talk about them, who we think their quarterback's going to be, and how that'll change the dynamic. And then a little housekeeping note. This is our last episode for the rest of the month. We're going to take the rest of February off. We're going to really dive into the draft class. Like Nick said, I'm going to give Nick a little time to catch up to me because I'm a little bit ahead of the game. So we're going to take the rest of the week off, or rest of the month off, and then so we'll come back first week of March, and we'll give you guys our first joint mock draft, and then jump into the Couch Scout, Combine stuff, all that good jazz. So this will be the last you see of us for a little bit. So we hope the rest of your February goes smoothly as well. You ready to dive into the Super Bowl?
The Super Bowl. I'd rather talk about the halftime show if we could.
Hey, if you want to talk about Bad Bunny, have at it. Not my cup of tea. Like I said on that episode, it was fine. It wasn't for me though, but I'm glad everybody who was excited for it seemed to enjoy it. I didn't see a lot of negative reviews from the people who actually were looking forward to Bad Bunny being there. But to me, Bad Bunny's more of a secondary act. He's not like a headliner for me. I know he's the most popular musician in the world if you look at Spotify stuff, and won multiple Grammys. So I understand the appeal, but to me, he's more of a secondary act. But it was a fun show.
Yeah, it's more of like a vibe thing for me, for sure. Obviously, I don't understand the music, like the Spanish behind it, but it's about like the entertainment level behind it. Like he did a couple matches in WWE, which you and I follow, and he's just an exciting guy. Like he brings that kind of energy and like vibe to like the atmosphere that I love. So I was a big fan. It was kind of just like watching like a Puerto Rican musical, to be honest, which was really cool in my eyes because I love film, I love cinema, and it just looked like a musical. So I was a fan for sure.
Yeah. There is one where they were dancing at one of the places, and Ashley was just like, I don't remember this in the Heights, which is a musical that they converted to a movie. I did see that with her, and I'm like, it did have that vibe of like a musical theater type jazz.
It was shot really well. Like whoever did like the camera work and all that kind of stuff, they did a really good job as like a film guy. Hats off to whoever filmed it, designed it. Everyone involved, amazing production.
Yeah. There was a wedding too, so that was kind of cool.
So
like an
really
actual
cool for
wedding.
sure.
Yeah. And then a ton of people just showing up out of the blue. Pedro Pascal was there, Jessica Alba, Cardi B, Ricky Martin just showing up.
For sure.
A ton of cool cameos there.
A lot of good people represented. So
yeah,
I liked it a lot.
Hey Nick, how do you say yes in Spanish?
See?
Seahawks, the Super Bowl champion.
Oh,
Seattle.
God. Oh my God.
Seahawks.
What just happened? Oh no, dude. I walked right into that, dude. Ooh, quick side note. I did get my boss's husband today with the up dog joke. I called him over and I'm like, dude, do you think it smells in here, man? And he goes, I don't know. I'm like, I don't know, man. It kind of smells like up dog in here, man. And he goes, what is up, dog? And I'm like, hey, nothing much. What's up with you, dog?
That is such a good joke, and it is a joke you maybe only get to tell twice in your lifetime, because
Oh, for sure.
not many people get the fall for that. So kudos to you there. I love
Hell
that.
yeah, hats off.
But
It was
yes,
amazing. Good day for this guy.
the Seattle Seahawks did beat the New
Hats
England
off.
Patriots 29-13, and the score wasn't even that close to begin with. The Seahawks just completely dominated this game through and through. Kenneth Walker, MVP. He had 135 yards on the ground, another 20-some through the air. He showed up. It was the first time his dad was seeing him in an actual game, because his dad has like a fear of crowds, so that's really cool. Show up at the Super Bowl, first time you get to see your son as a professional athlete. He goes out, wins MVP, first running back to do so since Terrell Davis of the Denver Broncos. And now Ken Walker, he's going into free agency. He just upped his bank
Getting
account
paid
a little bit there.
a lot of
So
it,
it'll be
bro.
interesting
He
to
got
see.
paid.
Yeah, I imagine the Seahawks franchise him and try to work something out. If they can't, they either plays that 1 year, or they move on from him.
Yeah, for sure. I don't see the Hawks letting him walk after this point, dude. Like, he went out there and showed that, hey, man, Charbonnet's banged up going into next season. He's hurt. He's probably not going to be ready. He's going to be probably placed on the pup to start the year. I can carry the rock. I went out here, 27 carries, 137 on the ground, 26 through the air. Amazing performance. Hats off to Ken Walker, dude. He's going to get paid. Even if he gets franchised, he's going to get what? It's like the average top 5 running backs.
Yeah.
And you get the average paid. So next year he's getting a hefty money bag, and then hopefully he gets long term, because a running back shouldn't be playing on the franchise tag. Anything can drastically change for a running back.
Yeah, they relied heavily on him. Sam Darnold wasn't his best performance, but it didn't need to be. 202 yards, touchdown. He did miss 2 or 3 deep shots. He had Shaheed and JSN on one down the field that would have been easy touchdowns, but he just overshot them a bit. And there was also 2 passes that he had that could have been intercepted as well, which could have swung things. New England's defense did their part to try to keep that team in it. The offense wasn't getting anywhere. Drake May was pressured a ton. The Seahawks defense was just bringing it. Will Campbell had a rough go round. He had like 14 pressures. Seahawks had a pick 6.
Most in a Super Bowl history given up by an offensive lineman. Will Campbell's getting kicked inside, dude. There's no way he is the starting tackle for this team next season. After that performance, you got to kick him inside. And that's coming from me, who on this podcast claimed that I would give Will Campbell a shot at tackle, and I'm glad they did. And on the biggest stage of them all, you let 14 pressures up. Drake May got rocked left and right because of it. Yeah, that's a liability, dude. You got to kick him inside.
Yeah, it was really the whole playoffs. Will Campbell struggled, and he was fine for the most part during the season. Then he got hurt, and it was kind of downhill from there. He also came out and said he was playing with like a torn ligament in his knee or his shoulder or something. But he was like, "It's not an excuse. I need to play better." But I think it does work out for them that they do have that ability to kick him inside. And Jarrett Wilson, who's their left guard, he's a natural center. Garrett Bradbury only there on a 1-year deal, so I imagine we might see Wilson kick back to center, Will Campbell to guard, and if they can draft one of these left tackles at 31, they go that route, or through trade or whatnot. But I think that is an option for them to do. And if bearing injury, they could even kick Campbell back outside. He's got that versatility, that he can play tackle in a pinch. So
yeah, for sure.
Still
most
excited
matchups,
for Will Campbell's future.
In most matchups, Will Campbell would be fine at tackle. But when you get stuck playing Houston's defense, Denver's defense, Seattle's defense, the Chargers defense, I'm pretty sure they played as well. You're going to get exposed at some point, because you're playing the best defenses in football back to back to back to back. So it just happened that it was all in the playoffs, and everybody's watching in those big moments. He's a really big liability at tackle going into the next season. But inside at guard, he's still an all-pro in my eyes. He's so good.
Yeah, Seattle, they didn't need JSN. They didn't need Rashid Shaheed. Cooper Kupp had a nice little game.
Your boy offense.
Your boy AJ Barner got into the end zone.
That was nice.
That was cool.
Yeah,
and Jason Myers, their kicker, incredible game for him. He's been great all year. He had 5 field goals, 2 extra points, 7 for 7 total in the Super Bowl there. And from the New England side, Drake May wasn't his best day, but he hung in there. He kept playing. He had that nice little drive that got the Mac Hollins touchdown. He went out there, he left it all on the field. I know people they're so quick to react and to be reactionary, in the pendulum just swinging completely the one direction. It was like, oh, Drake May, he's not built for this. Yeah, he's not ready. But yeah, it's his second year. He's 23 years
Yeah,
old. He shouldn't have
he's
even
not
been
ready
here in the
right
first
now.
place.
Yeah,
Yeah,
exactly.
yeah. The future is still bright for him as a player, as a growing prospect. Like, New England still has a superstar quarterback on their roster in Drake May.
Hmm.
That I'm not going to let this Super Bowl, having a poor performance. Like, it's his second year in the league. He wasn't supposed to be here right now. He's ahead of the game. So I will take it as a positive. I know everybody wants to be reactionary. I know it sucks to lose a Super Bowl for Patriots fans, but they're in great hands still here with Mike Vrabel, Drake May, and this offense.
Yeah, the foundation for New England is still exactly what you want. Their defense is still really good going into next season. Drake May is still on a rookie contract, so you can overpay other players. And you got one of the best head coaches in football. He won Coach of the Year, Mike Vrabel.
Yep.
So you got to get him more weapons. Like Ramondre didn't cut it, obviously 7 for 23. Travion Henderson was 6 for 19 or something like that. When Mac Hollins is your number one receiver, that's not going to be a good offensive performance. Steph Diggs was a huge letdown. Hunter Henry didn't get involved in now at all. Demario Douglas had a fine game. He had 5 for 50, but you got to get Drake May
Yeah,
more reliable weapons and a better offensive line being tackles. So
you don't want
New
Demario
England needs a lot.
Douglas to be second on your team in targets. He had 7 targets. Mac
No.
Hollins led the team. Also something you don't want. Like, Seattle did an incredible job of shutting down Diggs. Booty was targeted. They just weren't great targets. But yeah, Seattle completely shut this offense down, took him out of the game. Drake May was leading rusher. Like, they just couldn't get anything going with how good that Seahawks defense played. And I think had there been one standout guy on that unit, they would have won MVP, but it was a true just team effort on the defensive side that Ken Walker having the big game led him to being the MVP for the Super Bowl.
Yeah, it's rare that the MVP of the Super Bowl didn't get in the end zone. Like the one passing touchdown went to AJ Barner. Ken Walker just had a really good running game where he had 135 yards and, like we said, 20 some through the air. So they needed Ken Walker out there, and he should have won MVP in my eyes. Like, I get Sam Darnold's the quarterback; he had a touchdown. Most people would have been like, "Oh, just give it to Darnold." But he didn't play great. But he didn't play bad. He didn't do anything to
He had a
lose
game
them the
manager
game.
game.
Exactly, but he didn't do anything to go out there and win them the game. Seattle's going to be in good hands next year. New England needs a little bit of work offensively, stack up the defense late in the draft, but I think both these teams are going to be pretty decent next year. New England obviously has a way harder schedule than they did this year, so they're going to have a little bit more of a struggle. But I think Seattle will be fine. They're going to run most of this back. Hopefully, they can figure out a deal for Ken Walker because he deserves a lot of money after his playoff performance.
Yeah, Seattle, the majority of their roster is under contract, will be back. They have the sixth most cap space going into next year, so the money is there for them to pay Ken Walker. So, yeah, it'll be interesting to see kind of like, do you think they're going to be the early betting odds favorite to be Super Bowl repeat? You think they're going to be number one? I'm sure the odds are out there, but
I would say no. I would say Vegas would still lean in the way of like a Mahomes, Lamar, Josh Allen, Jalen Hurts kind of way. I think the Seahawks will be top 5 though, for sure.
Yeah. I would assume like the first team that came to my mind for that was the Rams. Stafford coming off the MVP performance has already announced he's going to be back. Like,
huge.
I think that's who I would have leaned in terms of the betting odds, but yeah, I think this is one of those years where it's just like, it's kind of tough. Like, you can make the case for a ton of teams. I just looked it up. Rams and Seahawks are tied for best odds to win the Super Bowl next year.
Yeah, it makes sense. Yeah, the Stafford thing makes sense. I would have figured they would have leaned away of, like, no offense to Sam Darnold, but a team with an elite quarterback. Darnold's fine at the end of the day, but teams that have like a Stafford, Mahomes, Allen, like a team that can rely fully on their quarterback, I would say they should be the betting odds favorite going into next year. But Seattle's defense is the reason they're up there for sure. They're an actual unit that is.
Yeah.
Look what happened on Sunday, dude. They shut down New England. It was it was done at halftime. Like, I get everyone was
New
like,
England
oh,
didn't score
it's
until the fourth
close.
quarter.
Yeah, there was no touchdowns for New England. It was embarrassing up until the fourth quarter. And at that point, Seattle was just coasting. They're like, hey, let's just get these 15 minutes done and over with. We have already won the Super Bowl. Shout out Christian Gonzalez. He was the one takeaway from New England that I noticed. He is a legitimate
He's
shutdown
incredible.
corner. I get JSN was hurt. He was banged up, but it didn't matter. He was out there making plays on every receiver he covered. Christian Gonzalez kept New England's defense locked and loaded, and they did a good job too, dude. Like, New England's defense isn't a joke either. So for sure, shout out both these teams. It was a pretty boring game. Jason Myers had a legitimate chance to win MVP, and that speaks volume for a kicker being in the MVP
He
hunt.
was MVP of my fantasy team this year, Jason Myers.
He passed LT for most points scored in a single season, so he had a historical season. He was money this year, dude.
Yeah, hell of a year for him. You ready to dive into quarterbacks? We'll start with the NFC.
Yeah, for sure.
All right, so what we're going to do, we're going to go through each team, like I said, and we're going to talk about who their starting quarterback is going to be next year. And more time is obviously going to be spent on the teams that there are question marks, because we're not going to go deep into the teams that are pretty well set. Like, we know what's going on there. There's no ifs, ands, or buts. So the NFC East is pretty well set in stone. Philadelphia is going to be Jalen Hurts. Washington is going to be Jaden Daniels. Dallas is going to be Dak Prescott. And the New York Giants is going to be Jackson Dart. Agree? No
Yeah, for sure.
there?
I did that division first right off the bat. And I'm like, okay, what division can I just quick run through? Pop, 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 pop. And it was that one. Dak, Hurts, Dart, Daniels right off the bat. I do not see a world where one of those guys are not the starting quarterbacks for their respective teams.
Yeah. The only way one of them's not there is if some freak injury.
They get hurt in camp.
Camp. But going in, they will be the quarterbacks. NFC North, 3/4 of this division, I think, is pretty well set in stone. Chicago's going to have Caleb Williams. Detroit's going to have Jared Goff. Green Bay's going to have Jordan Love. And then there's the question about Minnesota. Do we want to talk about all the teams at the end that are question marks, or do we want to focus on them as we talk about them?
No, we're right at Minnesota. We can just dive right in here. I do have McCarthy listed as the first option quarterback. Mm-hmm. Well, realistically, I didn't write his name. I just put 9 with a little laugh emoji next to it. I think they're going to let McCarthy run it back next season. I get he did not look good at all last season, which I'm not shocked by, but he deserves another chance, and that's even coming from me. Like, he wasn't ready last season, even if it was his second year. He missed his first year due to injury. He deserves this year, though. He was a first-round pick. He's still super young. And if you guys have the coaching staff behind him, which your coaching staff's amazing, there's a chance that he can flourish. But I do have 2 other names written here that are like legitimate options, I think. And one of them's Mac Jones. And then the other one's Zach Wilson. And that's the one I want to really hear your opinion on. Because I think
we got different names here. So I
like that.
Yeah, I do have JJ McCarthy. And I am under the impression he's going to be the guy, and they're going to bring in a veteran to try to push him. And if he can't win that camp battle, then we know there's a problem. I think they're like, if I had to like narrow it down, I think the best odds of the quarterback coming in is gonna be Kirk Cousins.
That makes sense.
Atlanta's, they're gonna let him go. And we know Cousins he's fine taking that backup leadership role. He handled it great with Michael Penix. And we also know he's still got a little bit of juice that he could play. And we've seen him in Kevin O'Connell's system. It works. So I think him coming in, and then it gives you a good floor if McCarthy can't beat out Kirk Cousins in a training camp battle. I think Aaron Rodgers is an option, but if they bring in Rodgers, he is obviously going to be the guy. There's no chance he's backing up JJ McCarthy. And then the wild card one that I'm actually, I want to hear your thoughts on this, is the Vikings getting Kyler Murray. Ooh. And making him the new renovation project for Kevin O'Connell. Essentially, that means they're giving up on McCarthy. Maybe they send McCarthy to Arizona and work out some sort of deal there. But Kyler Murray with Kevin O'Connell and these weapons, like, Murray's not my dude. He's not a guy I think highly of. But it is an intriguing option there for Minnesota. Like, I think Kyler Murray on this team, I think you're looking at a playoff contender, but it will be interesting. In your regards, Mac Jones makes sense. Probably would have to trade for him. I don't think he gets out of San Francisco. Zach Wilson is interesting, though. I do think he's a good fit for Kevin O'Connell's system, and he kind of fits that mold of the quarterbacks Minnesota's kind of brought in, given up on, highly drafted, thrown into the wolves too early, and then they've just kind of just been backing up places throughout the last couple years. So I wouldn't hate Zach Wilson being here, but if they would bring in Zach Wilson, that doesn't give me confidence that he can beat out J.J. McCarthy. That just means to me they're giving McCarthy the job and being like, look, if McCarthy doesn't work out, we got a guy here with Wilson who we want to try to untap that potential, but I don't think he's someone that's going to push for the gig.
Yeah, no, I would think he would be like a lesser option for sure. The Murray one I don't hate for sure, but I don't know if a team that would drafted a quarterback just 3 years ago now at this point going into the next season would be willing to give up something for Murray, because Murray's going to get
I don't think they're going to get
back.
a lot back for Murray.
I do. I don't think if they get a decent enough pick, he's just going to be the quarterback next season.
Okay.
Like, I think it's like an actual 50-50 chance he's still in Arizona next season. I don't think it's like written in stone that he's gone.
Okay. Yeah. Kyler Murray, when I was going through this, he was really the hardest one to find like a concrete spot for.
All right. Well, yeah, for sure. Because he's not like a technical free agent like Aaron Rodgers is a free agent, Danny Jones is a free agent, Russell Wilson's a free agent. So in order for Murray to go somewhere, someone would have to be willing to I think it's going to be like a third, a second. They're going to get something back in my eyes.
I don't think. I think it's going to be a day 3 pick if he gets traded.
Okay.
Yeah, I don't think anything higher than a 4th. Yeah.
If that's the calling card for Murray, I think there are, I would assume, already multiple teams calling about Kyler Murray. If they want something that low, he's worth, in my eyes, if I needed the quarterback, I'd trade a second for Kyler Murray.
Yeah, I think the contract is what's going to be getting in the way of
sure.
any potential trade. But we're both in agreement that we do think J.J. McCarthy's going to be the quarterback, and then it's going to be a veteran name coming in. NFC South, pretty well set. Tampa Bay, it's going to be Baker Mayfield. Carolina, it's going to be Bryce Young. New Orleans, it's going to be Tyler Shuck. Atlanta, I do believe it's going to be Michael Penix, but if he's not ready to start the year, I think we're looking at a Joe Flacco, maybe. He knows Stefanski's system. Some veteran of that regards who can hold you over for a couple games until Penix comes off the pup if he starts on the pup. But I think the majority of the year is going to be Michael Penix.
I agree. And from what I've read, they are rehabbing Penix hard, and they're trying to get him ready for week 1. So they want him to be the quarterback, which makes sense in my eyes. They drafted him very early, first round, same year as JJ. You got to still stick with that guy. He hasn't shown... He's shown enough
great with Stefanski.
I agree. And he's shown enough that he's still worth the spot. Like, if JJ McCarthy's still out here starting for the Vikings, Michael Penix should still be out there starting for the Falcons, because in my eyes, he's looked better than McCarthy. But names after that, like Mariota's a free agent. He could be a good gap quarterback if Penix isn't healthy. Tyrod Taylor, another veteran quarterback. And I know no Falcons fans going to want to hear this, but Russell Wilson would also be a perfectly fine, hey, if Michael Penix isn't healthy for the first 4 weeks, as bad as it is, Russell Wilson can go in there and not be horrendous. He can go in there and get you 2 touchdowns, 2 picks. Kirk Cousins did it last season. Penix did it last season. Russell Wilson can hold a job over, but I think they would lean more of like a Tyrod or Mariota, a little bit younger, a little bit more athletic.
I don't think Mariota is going back to Atlanta, though. I don't think he wants to be there.
It's a different coaching staff. It's not the same coaching staff, and you're getting Kevin Stefanski, Bijan Robinson, Drake London, maybe Kyle Pitts. He's a free agent, but you're getting a good surrounding cast. If I'm Mariota, I'm not leaving Washington. Daniels is a little bit of a health concern. I'm with good organization around me, so if I'm Mariota, I'm not leaving Washington. But if Washington wants to move on for some reason, I think Atlanta would be a good fit. I know he was there for sure.
Yeah, I think Atlanta, they're going to let you in the market like other like Mason Rudolph, Justin Fields, one of those guys, someone like
Mm-hmm.
Justin Fields, maybe they just bring him in, who we saw Fields had glimpse where he could start, and then other times he was just abysmal and not even worth talking about. But I think Stefanski can kind of help tone him down a little bit. But I do think they will bring in another name who could be a starter just in case Penix isn't ready to go early on. So, but same boat here as well. Like we agree, like Penix is this team's quarterback for the
Yeah.
majority of the
Yep.
games. Final one's the NFC West, pretty well set. The NFC is pretty well. They're locked and loaded with their
Yeah.
players. Matt Stafford is going to be the Rams quarterback. Sam Darnold is obviously going to be the Seahawks quarterback. Brock Purdy will obviously be the 49ers quarterback. Arizona's the question mark. Kyler Murray could get traded or cut. We've already brought that up. I think I lean towards this being Jacoby Brissett's team next year.
Yep.
But I think I would say I would lean 60% him, and then I think there's a 35% chance it is Kyler Murray, and then like a 5% chance they get someone in a trade, whether it be Tua or JJ McCarthy in the situation I brought up where they trade Kyler to Minnesota. Someone else there, but I think it is pretty much going to be Murray or Brissett here in LA or Arizona.
In Arizona? No, I agree. I have it pretty much like, if we did percentage wise, it would be like 50% Brissett, 45 Kyler Murray, and then like a 5% to guys like Joe Flacco, guys that can just stand it. Like, I think they're going to try to get away from the Kyler Murray build quarterback and keep into the pocket passing quarterbacks like a Brissett, Joe Flacco, Mason Rudolph, guys like that. I think the new coaching staff I don't think Kyler Murray is going to be there, but there is a chance at the end of the day because I think Kyler Murray is a better quarterback than Jacoby Brissett. I don't think many people are going to argue
just
that.
Not for this team.
Exactly. It's not a good fit. He has ran his course in Arizona, and I don't think he wants to be there. I don't think the organization wants him to be there. It's just not a good fit right now. It's very similar to the Breece Hall situation in New York. I just think Kyler Murray needs a new scenery, and I think it's going to be somewhere that we haven't got yet. But I'm leaning Brissett. He played well last season he got Michael Wilson the ball a lot.
1,000-yard receiver Michael Wilson,
which is crazy, dude. A healthy Marvin Harrison, hopefully next season. Trey McBride had so many touchdowns under Jacoby Brissett as the quarterback. He was a different tight end. Like, obviously, Trey McBride is one of the best tight ends in football. Last season, he lapped the field, dude. It wasn't Brock Bowers. It was Trey McBride. So I think Brissett earned his spot as the quarterback this season.
Yeah, and new coaching staff obviously coming over. They got LaFleur coming over from the Rams, but he was there with Matt Stafford, pocket passer. I imagine he tries to build that offense similar here in Arizona.
I agree.
So we're in the same boat here across the board with the NFC. Before we jump to the AFC, let's shout out our affiliates over at W Energy and Finley Hats. Finley Hats, they're built for good times and long times. If your hat is damaged or destroyed, they'll replace it or repair it. Absolutely free of charge. They got free shipping across the U.S. They do weekly hat drops every Friday night here on the East Coast. It's 10 p.m., 7 p.m. Pacific time. So check them out over at Finley Hats. Join the force. Click the link in the description. You'll get a cool 15% off your first purchase over there at Finley Hats. And then, of course, W Energy, the OG affiliate of the Drafted Up podcast. W Energy's built different. It's better. Good, clean energy. No artificial dyes, no sweeteners, no sugars, none of that BS. Like I said, it's good, clean, efficient energy. It's jitterless energy. You're not going to get that crash you get if you're just downing Monsters or downing Red Bulls. W, they get you through. No crash, no jitters. It's good stuff. They got a ton of flavors. They just dropped a retro rainbow sherbet flavor, as well as a ton of other stuff. So check them out over at W Energy. That's w.gg, or search them in your app store. It's WDUBBY. Use the code DRAFTEDUP for a 10% discount anytime you purchase anything over at W Energy. Be better. Eat that dub with W. All right, AFC. But hey, before we do that, if you haven't already. Like, rate, subscribe, review, all that good stuff like we said at the beginning. If you're still here and you haven't done it, do it. Help support the channel. Throw in the comments as well. Anybody, NFC, if you see it differently, throw it out there. We'll comment back. And AFC, same thing here. Throw in the comments who you think quarterbacks are going to be next year. AFC East. 2 of these teams are set in stone. New England, Drake May. Buffalo, Josh Allen. Miami, Tua was the quarterback last year. New coaching staff, he's probably not the guy this year. And the New York Jets, there's no way they can go in with Justin Fields, Tyrod Taylor, or Brady Cook as their quarterback, so we know they're in the market. Where do you stand with Miami? Like, who do you think the Dolphins quarterback is going to be next year?
I think the Dolphins go out and get one of the more interesting names in free agency, and I put Malik Willis here.
I agree.
Packers backup. Interesting. That's weird. I just think it's a good fit. It
makes sense. Coaching staff is coming over from Green Bay.
It's coming over from Green Bay. It's going to follow a kid that looked decent in Green Bay's system last season when he had to fill in for Jordan Love.
Mm-hmm.
And I think Willis he's going to get paid this offseason. He looked fine as the backup. He filled in very nicely. He was a decent prospect coming out of college, and we have to remember that at the end of the day. He was just a little bit banged up. So I think it's a good spot for him to see what happens. It's a good replacement for Tua because I agree. I don't think Tua is going to be their starting quarterback. I don't think Tua is going to be there in general, to be honest.
No.
I think they're going to find a way out of him. And it's a good fresh start for Malik Willis. It's a good start for the Dolphins. You still have Jalen Waddle. You got a really good run game.
Mm-hmm.
See what happens with Malik Willis. So I slotted Malik Willis here for the Dolphins.
Yeah, I absolutely agree. It makes sense with the coaching staff, some of the guys coming over from Green Bay here to Miami, and built similarly to like heavy run game. They rely on it with Achane and Ollie Gordon. And the weapons you could say are better in Miami than Green Bay. Like Jalen Waddle is better than any receivers the Packers had.
I agree.
And Tyreek Hill, as of now, still there. We'll see if he is there. I don't expect him to be, but I think Miami is a great spot for Malik Willis to end. But I absolutely agree. Like I said that Malik Willis will be the quarterback there, Quinn Ewers as the backup. I just don't see any other road for them because they're not going to be in a position to draft one. So it just makes too much sense that Malik Willis ends up in Miami.
I agree. It was just the most logical choice in my eyes. So I just think it's a good fit for everyone involved, for the team, for the quarterback, the surrounding players. I would be interested to see it happen. So
yeah. The New York Jets, a little tougher because chances are a lot of players aren't going to want to go and play for the Jets because we know they still have 2 picks in 2027. So you got to figure they got their eyes on a quarterback then potentially as well. They're not going to take one at 2 because, Mendoza's not going to be there and none of the other quarterbacks weren't going with the second pick.
Do they have 2 first next season or is it 3?
It's 2. They have them and the Cowboys.
Okay. I thought they had 3 for some reason.
Yeah. So I think they're going to go the veteran market. And here's where I think Marcus Mariota ends up. Because we know he can still be a starting quarterback. He filled in nicely for Jaden Daniels. So I think he comes in here. He's going to be the Jets starter week 1. Maybe at 16 they draft Ty Simpson or trade back into the first round from their second round pick, or in the second draft Trinidad Chambliss or Garrett Nussmeier, one of the other quarterbacks. But I think the route they do go is Marcus Mariota. That's who I have here. And then maybe Nussmeier or Chambliss, where then they could move on from one of those guys in 2027 if they're in position to draft one of the top names.
Yeah, no, I do think that they're going to go veteran route. I wrote Russell Wilson as a joke because the moving cost would be $0. And what better way to stick it to the Giants fan than playing in the exact same stadium in his head, but he would just fail miserably because him and the Jets both suck. I think this is where Kyler Murray ends up, though. I brought it up before on the podcast a couple months ago, whenever it was. I just think the Jets are tired of trying to draft a quarterback as an organization in a whole. So what better way to use an abundance of first-round picks than to stack up around Kyler Murray? Kyler Murray needs help, but at the end of the day, he's a very talented, athletic quarterback who can get the job done with the right circumstances around him. if you build a really good defense and you give him Garrett Wilson and a couple other weapons, I think on paper that is a formula that can win in the NFL. So I think the Jets are just not going to try to get into the drafting mind of drafting a quarterback this season or next season with all of their first. And they just go out there very easily, get Kyler Murray, who is, at the end of the day, probably more talented than any quarterback in this draft class alone. So I like Mendoza at the end of the day, but he's not athletic or as gifted as Kyler Murray was when he was coming out of college. So I just think the Jets call it a day and they just get their quarterback very easily. You said a day 3 pick. I said a day 2 pick. So you're keeping all your first round picks and you're surrounding him with a whole lot of talent.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I don't hate that. I do think, like, Kyler or Tua could be in play for New York as well.
Yep.
Yeah. Okay. AFC North, Pittsburgh. There's going to be question marks there. Baltimore, it's going to be Lamar Jackson. Cincinnati, it's going to be Joe Burrow.
We're not even going to
hypothesize trying to move him and then who's going to be their quarterback. That is a less than 1% chance of happening. Joe Burrow getting traded, so he will be the Bengals quarterback. Cleveland, should we talk about them, or do you think it is set in stone that's going to be Shedeur and Watson?
Hey, it's Pro Bowl quarterback Shedeur Sanders. Yeah. Okay, let's get
Pro
that
Bowl
right.
Quarterback.
That's exactly what I have written down here in big, bold capital letters. Pro Bowl quarterback Shedeur Sanders. As much as it is a joke, he is going to be the team's quarterback next season. I am actually dead set on that. Mm-hmm. Watson will still be on the roster, I believe, but I think Shedeur is week 1 the Browns quarterback.
Yeah, and I think if he does struggle, we end up just seeing Watson. I just don't think this team's going to make a move for somebody. I think they'll roll with Sanders, Watson, and Dylan Gabriel.
Yep, I totally agree.
Okay, so then it's Pittsburgh. If Aaron Rodgers comes back this season, he will be a Pittsburgh Steeler. Lock that in. I don't think he plays maybe Minnesota, but I don't think there are a ton of options for him. I think it's those two teams, and I would say it's a 95% chance it's Pittsburgh, 5% chance it's Minnesota. If Aaron Rodgers does retire, I do believe this is the landing spot for Kyler or Tua.
Okay. I have Aaron Rodgers because I brought it up multiple weeks ago that his last pass is not going to be that interception. He does not have the willpower to let that be his last pass. So he's coming back next season. And with them going to get McCarthy, I think it's more written in stone. I think it's almost obvious that Aaron Rodgers will be back next season. But I think they're drafting Ty Simpson, dude. I think that's a really good fit. If he is there with the Steelers pick, Rodgers has no say in it. And Ty Simpson, they can guarantee it. They will probably tell Rodgers, you do not have to worry about this kid playing at all.
This is a little different than them drafting Jordan Love, because Aaron Rodgers has now played 6 or however many years it's been
multiple seasons since Jordan Love was even drafted. Yes, this is different. Aaron Rodgers is coming back on a 1-year deal. Ty Simpson gets to sit under Aaron Rodgers, gets to learn the system and really get ready for next season. I think the Steelers are looking forward to Aaron Rodgers and having a young quarterback sit behind him, because you're pretty much set in stone with McCarthy and Rodgers, and you're going to win games under that combo. And then you got your quarterback of the future sitting under him. So I think Ty Simpson or one of those other quarterbacks are going to land in the Steelers' lap. So I think that's a good fit.
Yeah, I don't hate that. I think that could work in their favor, because Pittsburgh, like, they're rarely ever in position to draft a rookie quarterback this year. They might be able to get Ty Simpson at 16. Take the bullet, let him sit behind Rodgers. I think that's a good bet. I even if they would get Tua or even Kyler, I think that should still be in play as well there.
I agree.
In case one of those guys fizzles out there. AFC South, Tennessee, it's set. It's Cam Ward. Houston,
big dog.
It's C.J. Stroud. We're not going to have a talk about him.
It's C.J. Stroud, dude.
Jacksonville, it's obviously Trevor Lawrence. Indianapolis is the question. Daniel Jones tore his Achilles. He is a free agent. We've both said that we do believe Daniel Jones is their quarterback. On the chance it's not, I don't think it's going to be Anthony Richardson. I think
I
I think
agree.
there's a good chance Richardson gets moved. And
I
I wanted to
agree.
bring this up when we talked about Arizona. I think he would be a kind of an interesting fit there behind Jacoby Brissett, where he can kind of sit and learn, and maybe LaFleur uses the McVay magic and it works for them, or even the Rams. Maybe the Rams bring in Richardson, have him sit behind Stafford. Uh, it's maybe Minnesota too. Like one of those McVay teams that kind of can mingle around with a quarterback. I think that's where Richardson ends up. I think Malik Willis is an interesting name here. I think he'd be good with Shane Steichen. Same with Kyler Murray or two. It's pretty much just those recycled names. But I do think the Colts, they don't have a first. If Trinidad Chambliss is there in the second
Hmm.
round, I think he is great for Shane Steichen. That I think even if they bring back Daniel Jones, I think drafting Trinidad Chambliss in the second round, because this is a team that doesn't have a first. Doesn't have a first. You're right. The Jets do have 3 first-round picks. They have the Colts pick.
Nice.
I forgot.
Okay,
I forgot
from
Sauce
Sauce
Gardner
Gardner,
got
right?
traded.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I
So
swore the Jets
yeah,
had 3 first next year.
you're
They're
right. The
stacked,
Colts.
bro.
It's yeah. They threw me off because the Cowboys, they have the Cowboys first next year, but the Cowboys first this year is with Green Bay. Yeah, so the Colts aren't going to be in position to draft one of these guys next year. Draft Chambliss, let him sit behind Daniel Jones. I think that's what I have down for the Colts is Daniel Jones and Trinidad Chambliss.
Yeah, I have nothing really exciting for Colts fans here. I just have Danny Jones, who I think just makes sense to pay the guy. He's hurt, I get it, but at the end of the day, you were one of the best teams in football with Danny Jones as your quarterback. I don't think that would necessarily change too much coming off the injury. I just have Kirk Cousins written here. He's a guy that can come in and play. He could play a good couple of games and get Danny Jones healthy, that he doesn't have to rush onto the field week 1.
Mm-hmm.
Cousins can play week 1 through 4, 1 through 5 in that range, and hopefully just not be as bad as Philip Rivers was in the one game he played. So I don't think it's going to be anything exciting for the Colts, but I definitely do agree that Anthony Richardson is not going to be an Indianapolis Colt next season. It's not worth it for the organization. And I actually think the Cardinals are the furthest team away possible from getting a guy like that. I think they want to associate nothing with quarterbacks like developmental running quarterbacks. I think they are strictly a passing quarterback team at this point. They've seen what Brissett did with that offense. They can't come in here with a guy that's not a for sure, can stand in the pocket and let the ball rip. Kyler Murray can't do that. Anthony Richardson cannot do that. I don't think that would work necessarily. Coaching staff, though, with LaFleur now, that's an interesting thing. But you brought up the Rams. If you give McVay a guy like Anthony Richardson, he's good enough to develop a system around Anthony Richardson that would make him look decent. It's not going to be probably like Matt Stafford, but it's going to get the job done. That's something that Anthony Richardson needs. He needs a true wizard of a head coach to make the system work around him.
Mm-hmm.
The Rams would be a really good fit for that.
Yeah. And that leaves the NFC West. Obviously, Kansas City, it's going to be Patrick Mahomes.
What?
LA is going to be Justin Herbert. Denver is going to be Bo Nix. Las Vegas, it's going to be Fernando Mendoza. The question is, do they bring in another quarterback with him? I don't think it's going to be Geno Smith. I think Geno Smith
I think Geno's done.
Yeah. I do think he plays here.
He plays.
Maybe he ends up in New York and is the Jets quarterback. It just comes full circle for him.
Dude, don't send this guy back to the Jets in the state he played last season. Because he's not going to be any better than he was last season with another team this season.
He also could be an option for Minnesota.
I agree. One of those old veterans, he would also be an option for the Colts. Mm-hmm. So someone to come in here, hold the job down. Because at the end of the day, Geno's still a really smart NFL player. And he can come in and hold the job over. He's very similar to Kirk Cousins. He's a better Russell Wilson. So if we think Russell Wilson's going to get a job, Geno Smith is going to get a job next season.
Yeah. So do you think Vegas brings in a quarterback for Clint Kubiak here? Do you think they just roll with Mendoza and they just have a guy back there who it could be a stopgap if he has to play, but it's pretty much he's there just to be there and no chance of him like starting over Mendoza?
Yeah, no, I don't think they're bringing in a guy that's going to compete for the job. I think it's going to be Mendoza right off the rip.
So bringing a guy like Teddy Bridgewater, who you know is not going to start, but is a capable backup who can kind of guide Mendoza.
Yeah, Garner Minshew, one of those kind of guys. Like, that's the kind of quarterback they're going to bring in. Even Tyrod Taylor, like, at the end of the day, I get Tyrod can hold a job down if need be, but he's a guy that I look at as a really good backup quarterback. I think that's the kind of guy they bring in.
Yeah. Okay. And there's some interesting, like, we never found like a lock spot for Tua Tagovailoa. Like, we don't know where he's going to be. Trey Lance is an interesting name as well. He's kind of eating his, like, that could be an option for Minnesota. He's a hometown kid. He's, top draft pick who's just kind of just been sitting around in LA, not playing. Has looked good in preseason, but maybe he's the guy who pushes McCarthy. But yeah, they're interesting. Like Malik Willis, we seem set on him in Miami. Daniel Jones, we're pretty well set that he returns to Indianapolis. Aaron Rodgers, if he comes back, likely in Pittsburgh as well. But some other interesting, like you brought up Russell Wilson, Geno Smith, where's he end up? Tua, where's he end up? Even Trey Lance as well. Where these guys could go, and Kirk Cousins. Like there's some interesting names that are just kind of floating around out. Mitch Trubisky's also a free agent. I don't think he leaves Buffalo. I think that's a pretty good gig for him there, backing up Josh Allen. But maybe he ends up in one of those teams where they have a younger quarterback like Atlanta, and he plays a couple games behind, in front of Penix if Penix is healing, or maybe he wants the opportunity to start and he goes to the Jets. Like, there's options. Like, the Jets are going to have a weird quarterback. Like, we could say any name, and I think they'd be like, yeah, that kind of makes sense for the Jets, whether it be one of the higher name guys, like you brought up Kyler Murray, or I brought up just a capable guy like Marcus Mariota. I think Mariota would be great for Mendoza if they were able to get him out of Washington. So yeah.
And we also have to remember that the Jets have pick 2. If they see another quarterback in this draft class that is worth as a starting quarterback, there's a chance it's just a rookie at the end of the day. The Jets are the legitimate wild card behind this. Like, I guess the Dolphins are probably going to have a different quarterback, but at the end of the day, it could be just Tua there. I don't think it's going to be, but it could. Cardinals, same situation. The Justin Fields and Tyrod Taylor are not going to be the Jets quarterback next season. I can guarantee that. Justin Fields might be on the roster, but he's not going to be the team starter.
Shoot, maybe the Jets trade those 3 first-round picks next year and those 2 this year for Joe Burrow.
Yeah. From what I hear, he's on the market, dude, and I hear he wants out of Cincinnati.
Jamar Chase
Gotta love rumors.
will tell you otherwise. Yeah. I don't think there's a chance.
Dude's not going anywhere, dude.
No,
there's no chance in hell.
Yeah. But teams are pushing. I saw Schefter come out and say,
of course,
teams are pushing.
If I'm a GM, I'm
teams
calling.
are pushing to be able to trade 4 years picks from now and 5 years picks. Like, the NFL has a rule that you can't trade picks outside the next 3 years, but NFL teams are trying to push that you could extend that to 5 years. You could trade 5
NBA
years
style
worth of picks. Yeah, so whatever team's trying to make that push clearly has Joe Burrow in mind. Like, you got it.
Oh yeah, for sure.
They're
hey, I'll give you my next 5 years worth of first round picks for Joe Burrow, and and Cincinnati's probably just like, oh God, bet.
Interesting place for Tua, Kansas City. I figure they're going to upgrade the backup position. Mahomes coming off the ACL injury. Maybe he misses week 1. I think Tua's a fine spot there as a potential option. But
I think at the end of the day, Tua's a good quarterback. Like,
yeah, he's the hardest one for me to find a spot. Him and Murray, it's just like, where are they going to end up? Because we know, like, I think there's a better chance Murray stays in Arizona than Tua stays in Miami.
I agree.
But trying to pinpoint a place for them was tough.
It was tough for sure. I would take Murray over Tua if I had to pick one of them, just based off of his pure athletics. Like, he's so much faster, he's so much more dynamic, he can change a game instantly. But I like Tua, dude. If you put Tua in a really good situation with a good head coach and a good system, he could ball out, dude. He's done it before. He's led the NFL in yards before, so at the end of the day, Tua can get the job done. It just wasn't pretty last year. It was downright disgusting. So,
you think he follows Mike McDaniel, ends up backing up Justin Herbert, or do you think the relationship is actually damaged there? Because I took it more as ownership was done with Tua, and that's why they made the change.
The Quinn Ewers, I agree.
Maybe it was McDaniel and him were button heads. I don't know.
I don't think it was. I feel at the end of the day, it was the organization behind, like, hey, we are done with Tua. You need to get him out of here. You drafted Quinn Ewers. see what Quinn Ewers has, because you both are most likely out of here at the end of the day, being Tua and McDaniel. So we'll see what happens. That's a good spot for him, though. 1 year, sit behind Herbert, just chill, take the year off, and then try to find a starting job next year, because every year there's 5 to 7 quarterback jobs that are open or question marks. So
if Penix
there's always a
doesn't work
carousel.
out, and McCarthy, like, those are 2 spots that open up with 2 good head coaches. Yeah, it'll be interesting to see going for here. Maybe Dallas is fed up and they move on from Dak Prescott. That opens up a spot there. Yeah, that'll be interesting to see where everybody lines up here. Like I said, before we head off, we're done the rest of the month. We will be off doing some scouting, just relaxing, all that good stuff. We'll be back first week of March with our first joint mock draft. That's Nick. I'm Theo. This is the Drafted Up Podcast. We'll catch you guys in March. Adios.
We'll catch you guys in some warmer weather, baby. Enjoy the rest of February.
We'll see. Yeah.
Bye.
Bye, guys. Like and subscribe.
Yeah.